How do you think jobs will really change, say, in the next 3, maybe 5 years? And maybe more pointedly, what's AI going to do to your job? It's a question that, well, it brings up a mix of things, right? Excitement, sure, but also, let's be honest, a fair bit of anxiety. But it's super important we all try to get our heads around it. So today, that's our mission, basically, to cut through some of the noise. We've gathered quite a stack of different perspectives, different data points, just to help you navigate what feels like a really fast-changing landscape.
Yeah, what's really interesting about the sources we've looked at is they don't just give you one single answer, one future. They actually paint this really rich picture, sometimes with, pretty contrasting ideas about what's really at stake here. We're going to touch on everything from like the big shifts that are already happening to some really optimistic views, more leisure time, and then also some frankly pretty stark scenarios down the line. It's a whole spectrum.
Okay, so let's dive in. Let's start with the immediate stuff, the tangible changes we can probably expect, because a lot of this is, well, it's already happening. We've got some insights here from a career expert who kind of lays out these key areas where AI is fundamentally reshaping how we work right now. So the first big takeaway from our sources is this. AI is like a magnet for repetitive tasks. Any job that's mostly about structured, predictable actions, think data entry, a lot of junior level support roles, basic testing, tons of admin work. Those jobs are, well, they're really vulnerable now. And this isn't some far off thing, it's happening. It's driven by just how good and cheap these large language models, bots, and automation tools have become.
Right. And if you step back and look at the bigger picture, this isn't just about, companies being more efficient. It fundamentally changes the demand for certain kinds of human work, like at scale.
Hmm.
You won't see these roles just disappear overnight, obviously, but the demand,
Yep.
it's going to shrink a lot, especially in those big service companies always looking to cut costs. It's really redefining what human effort is valued for.
Yeah, exactly. And building on that, the next big thing is AI isn't just taking tasks, it's becoming like a daily coworker for loads of people. We're seeing these AI co-pilots pop up everywhere, coding, writing, HR, finance, design, you name it. And the key thing here, the really crucial insight is your ability to actually work with AI, to collaborate effectively. That might soon be just as important as your actual core job skill. Professionals who get good at using these AI tools are going to significantly outperform those who, well, who don't.
That's a really strong point, this idea of collaboration becoming a core skill. But what do you think is the biggest hurdle for companies trying to get their current teams up to speed? Is it easier to just hire new people who already get it?
That's a really good question. And the sources suggest it's kind of a mix, right? There's inertia, obviously, but also just a lack of clear ways to train people. A lot of companies are still trying to figure out how to even properly use these tools, let alone teach everyone. But yeah, the pressure is definitely on. And this whole shift, it goes right up the ladder. Middle managers, especially, are being forced to change a lot of their traditional tasks like assigning work, pulling reports, tracking performance, even parts of reviews software or AI is already doing that stuff. So it really makes you ask, okay, what's left for the human manager?
Exactly. And the critical question that raises is, well, how are organizations starting to prepare their managers for that? What did the sources say? Are there examples of where their value is successfully shifting?
Well, the sources suggest the human touch becomes absolutely critical. We're talking about resolving conflicts between team members, motivating people when things are changing fast, supporting them through crises, and really importantly, building those strong relationships with clients or other stakeholders. That high emotional intelligence, it's not just a nice to have anymore. It's becoming the key survival skill for these management roles. It
Yeah.
demands a big evolution in leadership style. But okay, it's not all about jobs changing or disappearing. There's also this huge growth area, a whole explosion of brand new, sometimes unexpected roles. We're already seeing massive demand for prompt engineers, AI ethicists, data governance folks, AI ops people that's managing the AI systems day to day, LLM tuners, AI product managers. The sources actually draw this really neat comparison to cloud architects like 10 or 15 years ago. That's the kind of boom we're talking about.
And it's not just the super techie roles either. It's things like AI compliance officers, making sure AI is used legally and ethically, AI workflow designers, figuring out how to actually integrate AI into business processes, people who can explain complex AI decisions to regular folks, AI trainers who fine-tune models for specific industries, even like storytellers using AI to create brand content way faster. It's this whole new frontier opening up.
So, what does this actually mean for your career path, right? The bottom line seems to be that job descriptions are going to change, maybe even more than job titles. Your role might still exist, but how you do it, that could look completely different. Like, think about a content writer. Now they probably need to be great with ChatGPT or Jasper. Or a teacher using AI to help plan lessons. A recruiter using AI to sift through resumes and pre-screen candidates. Pretty much every job is going to have some AI element baked into the description soon. It means learning new skills, new ways of working.
That's a huge challenge, though, isn't it? For
Yeah.
the people already in those jobs. I mean, the sources point to this shift, but you wonder how quickly companies can actually make it happen. It's one thing to buy the software. It's another to retrain whole departments, change the whole culture, to really embrace these AI-augmented workflows.
And that leads us right into the next big point, this widening gap, the divide between people who learn fast, who adapt to AI quickly, and those who don't. That gap is just going to get bigger. And the key insight here, which is really interesting, is that it's probably people using AI who will replace people not using AI. It's not necessarily AI replacing humans directly across the board. And apparently, age isn't the main factor here. It's more about your willingness and ability to adapt, to keep learning.
Yeah, continuous learning is key, no doubt.
Yeah.
But our sources also talk about the real world barriers. It's not always just about individual willingness, right? It's about having access to good training, whether your employer actually invests in that, overcoming old habits. It kind of forces us to think about the bigger picture, the societal responsibility in helping people make these transitions.
Okay, now let's pivot. Let's talk about something that feels, well, pretty counterintuitive for a lot of us, the surprising comeback of blue-collar jobs. It's a trend that our sources show isn't just a feeling, it's backed up by some really interesting data.
Yeah, there's definitely been this historical arc, hasn't there? Back in the
Yeah.
60s, skilled trades, plumbing, construction, they were really central, manufacturing, building cities. Very few of those workers had degrees. But then starting around the 80s through the 2000s, things really shifted. A university degree, a white-collar office job, that became the ideal, right?
Yeah.
The path to stability, higher income, and outsourcing just reinforced that, often leaving those trades behind.
But now AI is kind of flipping that script. The fact that AI is getting so good at automating cognitive tasks, office work, that's actually pushing workers, even some tech folks, towards blue-collar careers. Get this, one source suggests something like 30% of office tasks could be automated in just the next 3 years. That's huge. It's not just theory, it's driving real people to look at different kinds of work.
It really makes you ask, okay, what can't AI do?
Yeah.
And the answer points right to why these blue-collar jobs are so resilient right now. AI just can't do jobs that need physical hands-on work, manual skill, being there on site, solving messy real-world problems. I mean, an algorithm can't fix your plumbing remotely, right? AI can't repair a bridge or fix complex machinery on a factory floor. These jobs need people, physically present with practical skills. AI's not there yet.
And the numbers really back this up. Our sources show that by 2025, something like 4 out of 10 young people with a university degree are actually choosing blue-collar careers instead. And listen to this. Only 22% of U.S. adults now say their college degree was worth the cost. Why? Well, the supply of many traditional office jobs is shrinking because of automation, making it super tough for new grads. And here's where the value proposition really shifts. Blue-collar wages are often higher now than a lot of office jobs, and they're growing way faster. Okay, example. A journeyman plumber in San Antonio. They expect to make between $105,000 and $125,000 this year. Construction workers saw like an 18.4% wage increase, hitting salaries up to $75K by 2025. Plumbers up 17.5%, average salaries around 99Ks in some areas. Electricians up 21.4%, averaging 98Ks in places like New Jersey. Even new roles like wind turbine technicians averaging 87Ks, with projected job growth of 60% in the next 10 years.
And this isn't just, a few niche roles getting a boost. The big takeaway here is that the skills AI can't easily copy, being physically present, having hands-on expertise, solving problems on site, those skills are having this massive economic comeback, which is such a stark contrast to what we're seeing with white-collar wages, which are pretty stagnant. Admin assistants, their pay went up only 5% between 2020 and 2025. Paralegal demand is actually expected to drop 15% in that time. The market is clearly saying this is where the irreplaceable value is right now.
And it represents this huge shift in occupations. McKinsey estimates 12 million workers in the U.S. alone will need to change occupations by 2030. And get this, 80% of them coming from admin and office jobs. Another report from Relio Labs saw white-collar job postings drop almost 13% between early 2024 and early 2025, with wages flat. But blue-collar postings, up 46% compared to before the pandemic, is a dramatic difference. It really makes you question that old belief, that a four-year degree is the only way to guarantee financial stability. A lot of young people are looking at the massive debt from university, $100,000, $200,000 sometimes, and comparing it to apprenticeship programs for skilled trades, which might cost less than $10,000. And those programs offer hands-on training and you start earning right away. Our sources say 60% of young people actually think blue-collar trades are more respected now, and 70% like the stability. Indeed reported 40% of high school grads are choosing vocational training over university. It's a fundamental rethink. Okay, so now let's look ahead. Let's gaze into the crystal ball a bit. Or maybe let's open three different envelopes our sources present for the year 2035. Three very different pictures of what an AI-powered future might look like for you. All right, scenario one. We'll call it the AI utopia. This is the super optimistic one. A world of basically prosperity and loads more leisure time. In this future, you're making more money, but you're working way less. Think like 2-day work weeks, maybe 30-hour weeks become the norm. Workplace productivity has just soared because AI handles all the boring, tedious stuff, email, calendars, basic coordination, middle management, mostly gone. Replaced by top execs making data-driven decisions and these specialized deep workers focused on creativity, complex coding, that kind of thing. This utopia also sees an explosion of these new really specialist roles: AI ethicists, algorithm bias auditors, even machine psychologists. One estimate suggests by 2030, AI creates 170 million jobs while destroying 92 million, so a net gain of 78 million jobs. Education is transformed. AI teachers, AI tutors. Like Stanford's Copilot trial reportedly boosted MEMS scores by 4 to 9%. The focus shifts away from memorizing stuff to creative thinking, problem solving. Knowledge becomes democratized. Elite universities become more about who you know, the network, and the societal benefits. Work-life balance is the standard. Mental health improves. People start seriously talking about universal basic income, or UBI, and policies like the right to disconnect, all funded by these massive productivity gains.
Yeah, what's really striking about this one, though, is it's not just about the tech getting better. It really hinges on making deliberate policy choices. Making sure the benefits of AI get shared broadly, creating a more human-centered society, not just boosting corporate profits. Things like strong limits on overworking people, a real societal push to prioritize well-being. Those are absolutely crucial for this optimistic future to actually happen.
Okay, moving to the second envelope. This one's called the gig work hell. It's more of a middle ground future, maybe, where the benefits of AI don't really trickle down and it leads to a lot of instability. The idea here is that AI kind of hits a plateau. Maybe the next version of GPT isn't that much smarter than the last one, so companies pause big investments. AI automates some tasks, sure, but not whole jobs. But here's the kicker. Employers still expect more from their human workers because they have these tools. So productivity goes up, but wages don't. They stagnate. And that leads to massive employee burnout. A lot of people in full-time jobs get pushed into insecure, unstable gig work, which then erodes things like Social Security, pensions. Inequality gets worse. Exec and investor pay goes way up, but employees just get more work for the same pay. There was a McKinsey study that found execs underestimate how much their employees are already using AI by like 3 times, which could just lead to more surveillance, not empowerment. Education systems kind of stall. Teachers try to ban AI, students use it to cheat, creating what the sources call lazy brains. People keep chasing careers that are actually at high risk of being automated anyway: journalists, lawyers, software engineers.
It paints a pretty grim picture for the average worker, doesn't it? It really forces that question. If AI just becomes a tool to squeeze more value out of people without giving back, how do we stop that future? This scenario really highlights what happens without guardrails, without policies to protect workers and share the economic gains more fairly.
All right, finally, the third envelope. This is the most unsettling one. Some people are calling it the white-collar bloodbath. This is the really pessimistic view. Widespread unemployment, maybe like Great Depression levels, leading to a serious breakdown of social order. In this scenario, AI just rapidly replaces entry-level white-collar jobs, then middle management, then even highly skilled white-collar work. Think legal contracts, news articles, marketing copy, software code, all churned out by AI at near human quality, maybe even better. Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, actually warned about a potential 10–20% unemployment spike in just 1 to 5 years. Goldman Sachs estimated 2/3 of today's jobs are exposed to AI automation. The scale here is huge.
Yeah.
Maybe 50% of the entire U.S. white-collar workforce, it's like 35 million people, could be replaced. This massive oversupply of labor then just crushes the value of remaining human jobs. Even blue-collar work gets pushed down towards minimum wage, which, by the way, adjusted for inflation, is 42% lower now than in 1968. The result: societal catastrophe. Stagnant economy, weak social safety nets, millions stuck in informal gig work, creating this useless class. A whole generation drowning in college debt with no entry-level jobs available. And we know unemployment has links to depression, addiction. One study found a 1% rise in local unemployment led to a 3% rise in opioid deaths. It's incredibly serious.
Yeah, zooming out, the big message here is a stark warning, isn't it? It's about what happens if
Excellent.
society doesn't act. If corporate power goes unchecked when this kind of transformative tech arrives, it's less about the AI itself and more about the failure to put policies in place to support workers, to distribute the benefits. This scenario describes a future where the elites, the investors, the execs become trillionaires. They gain huge political power, shape policies to benefit themselves, tax breaks, weaker labor laws, no real antitrust enforcement. It leads towards this kind of plutocracy, where the wealthy retreat into secure enclaves, almost like feudalism, as one source put it, and the root cause, just a failure to manage this revolution responsibly.
Wow. Okay, so that's quite a journey we've taken. From this potential utopia of less work and more prosperity through a messy, unstable gig economy, all the way to a really, really stark vision of inequality and breakdown. It's clear the stakes are incredibly high.
Absolutely. And as we've seen across all these scenarios, the impact of AI isn't really just about the technology. It's about the choices we make. Choices as individuals, learning new skills, choices as businesses, how we adapt. And maybe most importantly, choices as a society, the policies we put in place. Even the most optimistic source we looked at stressed that we need proactive adaptation, deliberate policy decisions to get to that better future. It won't happen automatically.
So as you're listening to this, thinking about these vastly different possibilities, what role do you think is the most critical one for steering us towards a more positive outcome? And maybe more practically, what steps do you think we, all of us collectively, really need to prioritize starting right now?